Before you touch your phone tomorrow morning, you've already won, or lost, the first battle of your day. And most people never even realize it, because the biggest battle you will face tomorrow won't be against the world. It won't be against your responsibilities. It won't be against the people around you. It will be against the version of yourself that quietly whispers, "Stay comfortable. You can start tomorrow." Most people believe they lose confidence because life becomes difficult. But the Stoics believed something far more unsettling. They believed most people lose the day long before the day ever begins. Not through one massive failure, not through one life-changing mistake, but through tiny decisions, so small that most people don't even notice them. The decision to stay comfortable, the decision to delay, the decision to choose the easier path one more time. And over time, those small choices don't just shape your mornings, they shape your identity. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than almost anyone. Surrounded by uncertainty, betrayal, war, and the endless pressure of leading an empire, he knew the greatest enemy wasn't outside his walls. It wasn't the armies waiting beyond his borders. It wasn't the problems surrounding him. The greatest enemy was the temptation to surrender control of his own mind, before life even had the chance to test him. Before making decisions that affected thousands of people, he first mastered the conversation happening inside himself. Because he understood a truth most people spend their entire lives trying to discover. An unbreakable mind isn't created during life's biggest battles. It's created in the quiet moments when nobody is watching. Today, the battlefield looks different. The enemy no longer carries a sword. It carries notifications. It hides inside your phone. It waits inside your comfort zone. It sounds like, "Just 5 more minutes. Start tomorrow. You deserve a break." Before you've had your first original thought, distractions are already fighting for your attention. Before you've chosen your priorities, the world has already chosen them for you. You scroll before you think. You react before you decide. And without realizing it, you hand control of your mind to everything except yourself. Then you wonder why you feel mentally exhausted, why you feel emotionally restless, why you always feel one step behind the person you want to become. But what if I told you the first 30 minutes of your morning could quietly determine the quality of everything that follows? What if the strongest version of yourself wasn't built through motivation, but through 6 simple disciplines, practiced before the rest of the world even wakes up? By the end of this video, you'll understand why most people sabotage their minds before breakfast, and the 6 Stoic morning disciplines that can completely transform the way you think, act, and live. But stay with me, because the 5th discipline is the one almost everyone avoids. Not because it's impossible, but because it forces you to face the one truth your mind spends its entire life trying to escape. The first discipline sounds almost too simple to change your life, and that's exactly why most people ignore it. Because the habits that create mental strength rarely look powerful in the beginning. They look ordinary, small, almost meaningless. But those small decisions, repeated every single day, quietly shape the person you become. The first discipline is this: win the battle before the world wakes up. This isn't about waking up at 5 a.m. It isn't about copying someone else's morning routine. It's about something much deeper. Who makes the first decision of your day, you or your comfort? That question seems simple, but don't underestimate it, because your first decision doesn't just shape your morning, it sends a message about who is in control. Marcus Aurelius faced this same battle almost every morning. In his private reflections, he admitted that staying beneath warm blankets felt far more comfortable than stepping into the weight of responsibility. He felt the same resistance that every human being feels, but he reminded himself he wasn't born to serve comfort. He was born to serve his purpose. Every time he chose action over ease, he wasn't simply leaving his bed. He was training his mind to lead his emotions instead of obeying them. And that lesson is just as important today, because every morning your brain gives you a choice: stay where you are comfortable or become the person you promised yourself you would become. The decision feels small, almost too small to matter, but your mind is always watching. Every excuse you accept teaches yourself that comfort comes first. Every excuse you reject proves something different. It proves that your values are stronger than your feelings. And here's what most people never realize: the first victory of your day is rarely about the task itself. It's about identity. It's about proving to yourself, my emotions don't give the orders, I do. That single decision creates momentum, because when your mind learns that you can choose discipline over comfort, every challenge that follows becomes easier to face. Tomorrow morning, before touching your phone, before negotiating with your excuses, pause for 1 second and remind yourself, today, I choose who stays in control. Then stand up, immediately. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait until you feel ready. Move before your excuses have the chance to become louder. It may feel insignificant in that exact moment, but repeated every single day, that small action becomes evidence. Evidence that your mind commands your body, not the other way around. Because every extraordinary life is built on victories the world never sees, the quiet decisions nobody applauds, the battles nobody knows you fought. And once you've learned to defeat comfort in the morning, you'll discover something even more dangerous, because another enemy has been waiting, not beside your bed, but inside your attention. Every morning, before you've even had your first original thought, a battle for your attention has already begun. And if you don't take control of it, someone else will. Before you've chosen what deserves your focus, the world is already deciding it for you. And that is how most people lose their peace before the day has even started. The second discipline is simple, but almost no one practices it. Protect your mind before the world enters it. Think about what usually happens within the first few minutes after waking up. Almost automatically, your hand reaches for your phone. Notifications, headlines, messages, opinions. Within seconds, your mind is filled with information you never consciously chose to invite. And because everyone does it, it feels normal. But that's exactly what makes it dangerous. Before you've had the chance to hear your own thoughts, hundreds of other voices are already competing to shape them. And here's the part most people never notice. The first voice you listen to each morning often becomes the loudest voice for the rest of the day. Marcus Aurelius understood this danger long before smartphones, social media, or endless notifications existed. Before facing political conflicts, military reports, and the pressure of leading an empire, he first turned inward. He reminded himself what kind of man he intended to be: calm under pressure, fair in judgment, patient with others, impossible to provoke. He understood something powerful. If he failed to shape his own mind first, the chaos of the world would gladly shape it for him. His greatest protection was never the Roman army. It was the disciplined conversation he had with his own mind before anyone else had the chance to speak. And that same battle is happening inside your life every single morning. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you own, because whatever captures it first quietly begins shaping everything that follows. If comparison becomes your first teacher, you will spend the day feeling like you're not enough. If anger becomes your first teacher, frustration will follow you everywhere. If distraction controls your attention, your purpose slowly disappears without you even noticing. But the opposite is also true. When your values speak first, the noise of the world loses its power. You stop reacting and start choosing. You stop allowing circumstances to control your mind and start controlling your response to circumstances. So tomorrow morning, before checking a single notification, give yourself 2 minutes of complete silence. Ask yourself one question: who do I choose to become today? Then let every decision that follows become proof of your answer, because identity isn't built by what you say you want to become. It's built by what you repeatedly choose before the world gets the chance to choose for you. And once you've learned to protect your attention, you'll be ready for the next Stoic discipline, the one that teaches you how to stay calm, even when life brings the challenges you never expected. Most people don't break when life becomes difficult. They break because they never expected it to be. The problem isn't always the storm. Sometimes the problem is that the mind was never prepared, or the rain. The third discipline is this: train for difficulty before difficulty finds you. Most anxiety doesn't come from hardship itself. It comes from the surprise of hardship. We wake up expecting everything to go according to plan, and when one conversation becomes tense, when one opportunity disappears, when one unexpected problem enters our day, something inside us immediately reacts. Our emotions take control. Our thoughts become scattered. Our peace disappears. The Stoics believed the problem wasn't life. The problem was a mind that had never trained itself to face reality. Seneca practiced a habit that many people misunderstand. Before beginning his day, he briefly imagined the challenges he might encounter: a disagreement, a delay, criticism, disappointment, failure, not because he wanted these things to happen, not because he expected life to be miserable, but because he refused to become powerless when they appeared. He understood something important. Fear grows strongest inside uncertainty. The things we imagine we cannot handle often become far more powerful than the things themselves. But the moment your mind accepts that difficulty is a natural part of life, difficulty loses its ability to control your emotions. Marcus Aurelius followed the same principle. Every morning, he reminded himself, I will meet difficult people today, people who are impatient, people who are selfish, people who misunderstand me. And when those moments arrived, he wasn't shocked. He wasn't controlled by emotion. He had already decided who he wanted to be before the situation ever tested him. And this is a lesson used by the strongest performers in the world: athletes, military leaders, people who perform under extreme pressure. They don't wait for difficult moments to decide how they will respond. They prepare first. Then they allow reality to test that preparation. Your mind works the same way. When you repeatedly practice patience, courage, and self-control, your emotions become less likely to panic when challenges appear, because you've already shown yourself, I know how to handle this. Tomorrow morning, ask yourself one simple question: what is the hardest moment I am likely to face today? Then imagine yourself meeting that moment with calm instead of fear, discipline instead of emotion, and wisdom instead of impulse. You are not inviting problems into your life. You are removing their ability to control your mind. Because confidence isn't created after you survive difficulty. Confidence is created the moment you stop running from it. The strongest people aren't fearless. They are prepared. And once you've learned to prepare your mind for hardship, you'll be ready for the next discipline, the one that reveals whether you truly control yourself, or whether comfort has been quietly controlling you. Every morning, your future is shaped by a decision you will be tempted to avoid. It won't look important. It won't feel life-changing. And that's exactly why most people underestimate it. The fourth discipline is this: do what your future self will thank you for. Every person has one task they quietly resist: a difficult conversation, an important project, a workout, a decision they've delayed for far too long. Instead of facing it, they choose easier things. They answer unnecessary messages. They organize things that don't matter. They consume more information. They stay busy, but avoid what actually needs to be done. And then they tell themselves, I'll do it later. Later, when I have more energy. Later, when I feel more motivated. Later, when the timing is perfect. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Later is where countless dreams quietly disappear. Because every time you choose comfort over what truly matters, you aren't just delaying a task. You are teaching your mind that fear gets the final vote. And your mind remembers. Every promise you keep strengthens your identity. Every promise you break weakens your trust in yourself. Seneca understood this danger. He warned that hardship itself was never the greatest enemy. The real enemy was becoming dependent on comfort, because a person who only acts when conditions feel perfect slowly loses the ability to act when life becomes difficult. That is why the Stoics deliberately chose small moments of discomfort. They trained their will before life demanded strength from them. Like a blacksmith heating steel before shaping it, they exposed themselves to controlled difficulty, because a mind strengthened by choice is far stronger than a mind tested for the first time by circumstance. And this same principle still applies today. Confidence isn't something you think yourself into. It is something you prove to yourself. Every uncomfortable action you complete becomes evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Evidence that you are stronger than your excuses. Evidence that you can do difficult things even when you don't feel ready, and your brain never forgets that evidence. Over time, those invisible victories become the foundation of genuine confidence. That's why truly confident people often appear calm under pressure. Their confidence wasn't created through positive thinking alone. It was earned through hundreds of uncomfortable decisions nobody else ever saw. So tomorrow morning, identify the one task your mind immediately wants to avoid. Don't negotiate with it. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait until fear disappears. Start before your excuses have the chance to become louder. The discomfort will pass far sooner than you expect. But the person you become because you faced it will remain long after the discomfort is gone. Because your future isn't created by the decisions that feel easy today. It's created by the difficult decisions you make while comfort is still trying to hold you back. And once you've learned to choose discomfort over delay, you'll be ready for the next discipline, the one that changes the way you see everything you already have. One day, you will wake up, and something you take for granted today will no longer be there. You don't know what it will be. You don't know when it will happen. But one day, something you consider ordinary will become something you wish you could experience just one more time. The fifth discipline is this. Remember that nothing you have is guaranteed. Every morning, our minds naturally run toward what we don't have yet, the promotion we haven't earned, the money we wish we had, the body we want to change, the future we keep chasing. And while we are focused on everything ahead, we quietly become blind to everything already around us. The Stoics believed this was one of the greatest illusions of the human mind, because the more you focus on what is missing, the more invisible your blessings become. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that every person he loved, every possession he owned, and even his own life had only been entrusted to him for a limited time. Nothing was guaranteed forever. But this thought wasn't meant to create fear. It was meant to create clarity. Because when you stop assuming you will always have something, you finally learn to appreciate it while it is still here. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing your health, your family, your ability to walk, speak, breathe, or simply watch another sunrise could disappear without warning. How differently would you experience that day? A quiet morning would no longer feel ordinary. A simple conversation would become precious. The people around you would no longer feel familiar. They would feel irreplaceable. Even life's frustrations would lose much of their weight, because your attention would no longer be trapped by everything missing. It would return to everything that still remains. And here's something the human mind struggles to understand. We quickly adapt to the good things we experience. Yesterday's blessings slowly become today's expectations, not because they became less valuable, but because we became too familiar with having them. But the moment you imagine life without something you truly love, something changes. Appreciation returns. Gratitude becomes real. It stops being just a word. It becomes a feeling. So tomorrow morning, before your thoughts rush toward everything you wish was different, pause for one quiet minute. Choose one thing you have stopped noticing: your health, your parents, your children, your home, or simply another chance to begin again. Now imagine that it was gone, just for a moment. Feel what that absence would mean. Then open your eyes and realize something powerful. It isn't gone, it's still here. And in that single moment, you experience a kind of wealth that no amount of money can ever buy. Because true wealth isn't only about what you have, it's about whether you still recognize the value of what you already possess. The richest people aren't always the ones who have the most. They are the ones who still appreciate what they have before life reminds them how precious it was. And once you've learned to begin each morning with gratitude instead of emptiness, you'll be ready for the final discipline, the one that brings every lesson together and teaches you how to live as if every morning truly matters. The sixth and final discipline brings every lesson together into one powerful truth. Live this morning as if it cannot be repeated. Most people wake up believing they have endless mornings, another chance, another opportunity, another day to become the person they always wanted to be. So they postpone meaningful conversations. They delay important decisions. They wait for the perfect moment without realizing the perfect moment is often the one they are currently wasting. But the Stoics refused to build their lives on that assumption. Every sunrise reminded them of one powerful truth. Time was never something they owned. It was something they were temporarily allowed to use. And that single realization changed everything. It changed the way they worked, the way they loved, the way they handled failure, the way they faced challenges. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the uncertainty of life, not because he feared death, but because he understood that remembering life's limits gave extraordinary value to the present moment. Because when you remember that your time is limited, your priorities become clearer. Winning an argument becomes less important than protecting your character. Chasing approval becomes less important than fulfilling your purpose. The opinions of strangers lose their power because they cannot give you one extra day of life, and they cannot add meaning to a life you are refusing to fully experience. When you remember that your mornings are limited, you stop giving them away to distractions that quietly steal the life you can never get back. And here's what modern psychology has discovered. People who regularly reflect on the limited nature of time do not become weaker. They become more intentional. They make decisions with greater clarity. They experience deeper gratitude. They focus less on temporary pleasures and more on what truly matters. Awareness of mortality doesn't destroy the mind. When understood correctly, it sharpens it. It becomes a compass, pointing you toward what deserves your attention. So tomorrow morning, before the noise of the world reaches you, before your phone, before your distractions, before your excuses, ask yourself one question. If this were one of the last mornings of my life, would I be proud of how I am about to spend it? Let that question guide you, because that answer will reveal more about your priorities than anything else. An unbreakable mind is never built in one dramatic moment. It is built one morning at a time, one disciplined choice one uncomfortable decision, one quiet victory that nobody else sees, until one day the world notices the strength that was created long before anyone was watching. And now, the question is not whether these 6 disciplines work. The question is, which one will you choose tomorrow morning? Don't try to transform everything overnight. Choose one discipline, practice it, repeat it, and allow that small decision to become the foundation of the person you are becoming, because your transformation doesn't begin when your life becomes easier. It begins when you decide to become stronger. If this message changed the way you see your mornings, don't let it remain just another idea. Take one discipline and apply it tomorrow. Then share in the comments which one you are starting with. Your decision might become the reason someone else decides to begin. And if you want to continue building a calmer, stronger, and more disciplined mind through timeless Stoic wisdom, subscribe and join us for the next lesson. Until then, remember this: every sunrise quietly gives you 2 choices. One path keeps you exactly where you are. The other slowly transforms you into the person you were meant to become. One is built by comfort, the other is built by discipline, and both begin the moment you open your eyes. Choose wisely.